What's the best luck you have ever had in your life? My car broke down on a 2-lane highway in the middle of the Appalachians, 20 miles from the closest city and with no cell reception. The first vehicle around the bend was my grandfather, who lived 3 hours away. He had randomly decided to go on a weekend trip to the mountains. From the breakdown to being picked up was less than 5 minutes. He was definitely stalking you. He was coming from the opposite direction to boot. Applied for a job that was way out of my league, and the pay was more than twice what I was making at the time, and included pension, full benefits, and all that good stuff. I showed up quite early for the interview and had some time to kill, so I sat in the lobby reading some industry magazines. One article was about the top 10 threats to the industry, which I made a point of reading and soaking in as much as I could. Eventually, I got called into the interview and everything was going okay for the most part. This industry and role are both new to me, and I think it may have been shown during the interview as a weak spot. But then I get asked, what do you see as potential issues within our industry or business? I was so excited I almost jumped out of my seat and went off in great detail about everything I had just learned. The interviewers were very impressed, and little did they know that had I been asked that same question just 30 minutes earlier, I would have nearly nothing to say. I got the job. It was luck that put that article in front of you, but it was your smarts that made the most of it. Luck occurs when preparation meets opportunity. Vince Lombardi. I forgot I had a midterm and missed the exam. Somehow ended up with a B on the said midterm. I once did so terribly on an exam that I didn't hand it in. When my teacher finished grading it, he handed back everyone's exams. With a confused expression, I asked him where mine was. He said he'll go home and look for it. A week later, I asked him if he had found it, and he said he did and that I got a 94 on it. Nice job on the exam! Bought an ice cream and won a free one, and I redeemed the free one, which contained another free one. This reminds me of a promotion Sprite used to do when I was a kid. You had a 1 in 10 chance to win another free Sprite. The way it worked was there was a black text inside the bottle cap that said something like, "You won a free Sprite," or "Sorry, no win this time." The bottles were clear plastic and Sprite is see-through, so you could just about read the text with decent eyesight. Free sodas for a broke kid while feeling like you're beating the system was amazing. Too bad they caught on after a few months and the text became impossible to read without removing the bottle cap. I used to do this with 2-liter Pepsis, but the trick there was to read the underside of the cap off the reflection from the top of the liquid. I was at a large outdoor concert and some dude walked up and said, "No way, it's you, man," and then hands me my driver's license that I didn't know I had lost somehow. A friend of mine lost his ID in LA. Like 3 months later, someone dropped it in his lap in Miami. He never found out who. This is the most ridiculous story in here. I worked at a retail store for luggage where it was base pay plus commission. The other 2 salespeople were lazy. They made almost no sales, didn't interact with the customers, and basically leaned against the counter sipping coffee and being fake friends with the manager lady. During my first week there, I made more commission than they did in an average month. Manager lady was a super bish. Kept cutting my hours, said I was making her look bad by making so many sales. Gave me all the crap jobs like taking out the trash every goddamn day, because I was the only male and was stronger, she said. Cleaning the bathrooms twice a day, cutting into my sales, reassigning my sales to other people so it looked more even, she said, etc. I lasted 3 months before the fake friends talked enough crap about "he is stealing our sales" that the manager fired me. 3 months later, I'm working with a company that is flipping houses. We get a call from a landlord about a house they wanted to sell because the tenants weren't paying and being a landlord was more of a pain in the ass than he thought. When we get there, guess who was the tenant? Yeah, the bish manager that fired me. I straight bought her house for cash and evicted her. I bet that felt good, man. Nice play, OP. At a fancy charity ball, I bought 5 raffle tickets for $100. I put each ticket in a different bucket for different items. I won the Chanel purse worth $1,500. Then I also won the David Yurman diamond bracelet and the ring worth $2,000. The same year, I got ticketed and towed for parking in my usual spot at work because on November 1st, the parking rules changed for snow, and I didn't know that. Cost me all afternoon and $400. That night, my friends and I went to play bingo with the old biddies at the church. I hit the jackpot bingo, which was worth exactly $400. Damn, you've been drinking some Felix Felicius? I found a $20 bill at the post office. Since I thought it was my lucky day, I bought a $10 scratch-off lotto ticket and won $150. Go put it all on black on roulette. My friend did that in Vegas. It landed on 00. When I turned 16 and got my driver's license, a person Mom used to visit in the nursing home gave me the almost new car that had been sitting in his garage for a year as a thank you for all of the good things Mom did for him. Being poor, I knew I wouldn't have a rich uncle leave me his inheritance, but often wondered about nice elderly people like that who left me a car or inheritance for something I may have done or bought at a discount. Kinda like the song People Are Crazy or the stories about people getting classic cars for cheap because the spouse caught the other cheating or something. I befriended that old lady that I met from Free Cycle and hung out with her every Sunday for 7 years. When she passed, she left me everything she had. It wasn't much, but I got a car and a mobile home. She's been gone almost a year and I miss her. I got hit by a semi-truck while driving 75 miles per hour down the highway. I rolled 6 or so times and landed right side up in the ditch, with not so much as a scratch on my fiance's, or my friend in the back seat's body. The car was screwed up though. What kind of vehicle were you driving? I think they deserve some kind of safety award or recognition. Also glad you're okay. You deserved that $1,500. He was driving a Nokia. I was holding stock in Delta Airlines, DAL, back in the late 90s. I was going to hold it for the long term, but it skyrocketed and I made so much that I decided to sell my shares. But then it went up even more and I regretted it. Then I found out that when I tried to sell my shares, I actually doubled my investment. Good day. It's amazing how many people do the opposite. Wow, that stock's doing super well. I've got to get in on that. Followed by, crap, this stock's plummeting. I've got to sell. Congratulations, you just bought high and sold low. A new casino opened up near me, so my girlfriend and I decided to go at 3 a.m. on a whim. She won $700 on a slot machine, and then I won $600 on a machine. We then proceeded to leave. Smart people. Pro tip, don't go back. The house plays the long game. As a young, dumb teenager, I was free soloing a small mountain with a safety harness. I was about 20 meters or 65 feet off the ground when I reached what I thought was the top. Turns out the top was still going upwards, and the surface was smooth as a baby's bottom with nothing to grab onto. I tried to descend but got myself stuck. After a few minutes I couldn't hold on any longer, I lost my grip and I fell. I dropped 5 meters or 16 feet, and by chance 2 tiny trees growing out from a crack in the mountain face caught me, and they did so perfectly, one under my arm and the other right under one of my knees. From there, I found my way down safe and sound. If it hadn't been for those trees, I could have been seriously injured or dead as the ground underneath was littered with pointy rocks. I didn't use my luck to win the lottery, but it saved me from a real bad situation. Did you use a safety harness after that? Yes. Lesson learned. I won a $20,000 car with a $10 raffle ticket. Not getting crushed or drowned in a farm accident. I was 16 and working in the packing house on a blueberry farm. I went out to the fields with a guy to pick up the berries. The truck didn't have a cab, just a windshield. I was sitting on a fuel tank where the passenger seat would normally be. There was a large ditch full of water on the right side of the road. The driver went off the road into the ditch. I went into the water and the truck rolled over and came down on top of me. Somehow I wasn't pinned or crushed and was able to find my way out. I used up a lifetime's worth of luck in that one incident. Glad you're still alive and well. Hopefully you haven't developed a fear of blueberries. They're much too delicious to hate. I avoided them for years, not because of the accident, but because I was sick of them. They are delicious and good for you too. A superfood. This was a wild string of events that I still can't believe happened. I got a job in the video game testing industry. I got placed on a specific project that happened to have a point of contact that knew my favorite band personally. When the client came to visit, this point of contact mentioned my favorite band and my boss mentioned that I loved them. I was then invited to fly out and hang out with my favorite band. I got a tour with their new headquarters and got to spend a bunch of time with them for the weekend. The only thing I had to pay for was my flight. It was easily the best weekend of my entire life, and I'm now on a first-name basis and VIP list with that band. A job in the video game testing industry, eh? Technically quality assurance, just used video game testing for anyone unfamiliar with the QA term. I've actually since moved on to QA and other things that pay more than video games. It was a hell of a fun job though. I once threw an apple out of a car window at a traffic cone and knocked it over when I was 10. That wasn't luck, that was pure skill. 15% concentrated power of will. I was once trying to get home from college and my car was empty. I had $1 left, which wouldn't have even gotten me close to home. So being the smart person I am, I went into the gas station and bought a $1 scratch-off lottery ticket. I wound up winning 20 bucks, filled up my car, and made it home. This is like something out of a video game. 1 a.m., Taco Bell, ordered a Dorito taco and a Crunch Wrap. Ate both, but my body wanted more. I jokingly reached into the bag, telling my girlfriend there was always a fry at the bottom, and there was a cheesy gordita crunch in the bag. Checked the receipt and was only charged for the 2 things. So awesome. Used to work at Taco Bell. If I accidentally made an extra taco or something extra, I always just threw it in the bag. Too much of a hassle to deal with it. I did one time make something with lettuce when it was supposed to not have lettuce, so I remade it and asked the guy if he wanted the other one free of charge. He says no, I don't like lettuce, in a snarky way. Like, fine, screw you too, as if the lettuce is gonna kill you. It's free food. I used to occasionally go to late night casinos with a mate who is pretty big on gambling and strippers. I don't like strip clubs. I always play low bet value roulette, with a hard limit I set before I go in, usually 20 to 40. Nothing went my way and I was cleaned out before 5 minutes passed, barring one last 50p chip. I put it straight on number 1, which came in. Then I won again and again. I don't remember much more, but I do remember walking into the kitchen the next day to find nearly 4,000 on my counterpoint. Most of it still in the foil envelopes the casino gets it supplied in. My fiance and I were at a casino for New Year's Eve. They did a giveaway at 1, 2, and 3 a.m. to keep people playing longer. They made an announcement 5 minutes before the 1 a.m. drawing, and I told my fiance to go enter. No charge, and she wasn't gambling, so why not? She won $1,000. My trackpad on my MacBook broke. The Apple store called me a day later saying after they fixed it, someone knocked my computer off the table and shattered the whole frame and it can't be fixed. I got a brand new Retina display MacBook for free. Repaired an iMac for an older gentleman under the service plan he had with our store. Big yellow tag. As it was sitting on a shelf of completed computers by itself, the shelf fell and that bad boy splattered all over the place. The most dreaded call I ever had to make, and it was honestly one of the best. After explaining what happened to him, the older gentleman, he just goes, "Is everybody okay?" Then he just kind of joked around about the whole situation as I apologized profusely. We gave him a new iMac, obviously, but due to his kindness, we were able to bump him up from the $1,200 model to the $1,700 model, if I recall correctly, from his 5-year-old machine. Asked him if he wanted the bigger screen. He had the 21, and he just said, "Nah, things are too damn big anyway." So we just went with the upgraded 21. This is why I don't get why people act so mean to other people. It doesn't make sense. If you are rude to people, chances are they will be rude back. But if you're nice to people, they will probably act nice back. It seems like common sense to me. I lost my phone while we were laying a pipe at work. Filled in the trench, and then I realized I had lost it somewhere in the 60 feet of the trench that we dug. Left it there overnight, seeing as it was already dark and I couldn't hear it when we called it. Returned the next day with listening equipment. Took an extremely lucky guess on where it was and located it within 30 minutes. Dug 2.5 feet down to find the only damage was a small crack on my screen protector and a scuff on my OtterBox. Everyone, including me, had written it off as never to be recovered. 2 hours of my time when I figured it would take me a week to find it. When I was 12, I was walking through the woods and got hit in the face with an arrow by someone who wasn't paying attention to where he was firing. While this may not be lucky in itself, it hit the hinge of my jawbone. Half an inch in any direction would have been much more fatal. An inch up would have gone into my brain, and an inch down, my throat. I consider myself lucky because I walked through the woods and was never mistaken for a deer by a bow hunter. It was a range tip, so it wasn't even like he was hunting. Fell on the ice, traumatic brain injury, died 3 times. They told my wife I wasn't going to make it. Coma for 3 days, still not dead. The second best was when my wife agreed to marry me 30 plus years ago. Got hit by a speeding car when crossing a road. Cracked the windscreen, did a flip and landed on the pavement nearby. Paramedics were worried I'd broken my neck. Several hours and x-rays later, I walked out with nothing but minor bruising on my back. Different angle and I could have easily died. When I was 5 or 6, my grandpa took me to the horse track a lot. One time, he let me pick the 3 horses that I thought would win, first, second, and third. Needless to say, he won a trifecta. I don't remember the amount that he won, but I remember him lifting me up and kissing my cheeks over and over. I miss him every day. Your gramps must have been so happy. I wouldn't be happy for the money. I mean, I would be, but I'd be thinking my grandson is the next coming of Christ. Yeah, although I am a girl, but the same sentiment. Of course, the next time we tried, I failed miserably. It makes for a cute story, and it will be a fond memory of mine for as long as I live. Never owned a stock before. On gut instinct, I bought 186 shares of Apple in 1998. How are you doing now? My mother gave me a very nice necklace. One morning, I went to scratch my neck and I didn't feel it. I guess I didn't put the latch on properly and it fell off, so I got super bummed out because it was really nice. A few hours later, I found it in my shoe. It fell down my shirt, down my pants with a belt, and into my left shoe, which had been tightly laced. I work in a jewelry store and had a salesman pulling out loose diamonds for me to look at. One popped out of the paper and fell over my side of the counter. Looked around for hours and somehow could not find it. Got home that night and was taking off my shoes when the stone fell out of the pant cuff at the bottom of my slacks. Called up the salesman and told him. We had a very relieving laugh over it. I was around 8 and was at a community center to see a play. After the play, they were hosting a raffle, so I got my grandparents to buy me a few tickets. Now the weird part, I won every prize, every single one of them. I had only a handful of tickets and there were 100+ people in the room participating. I ended up giving some of them back to the raffle people because it wouldn't be fair for me to get all of them. And can you imagine a young girl and her grandparents having to carry all of those prizes out? It's unrealistic. Prizes were a giant stuffed bear, wine, bath stuff, more wine, more bath stuff, some chocolates, etc. I used that trick where you roll up the ticket in your hand before dropping your ticket in the drawing box, making it more grabbable, you know? I won 3 of the prizes at my kid's school. It was kind of funny the second time they called my name. By the third time, the whole room just groaned. I never felt so hated by a bunch of strangers. So you roll it like a toilet paper roll and then unroll it and fold it once? I found a $165 voucher in a slot machine in Atlantic City the morning I was leaving. Turned that into $2,500 on a roulette table while waiting for my friends. Came out of the university and didn't have a job. I was applying for jobs in video editing and media, however I hardly got any interviews. About 4 months of having no job, I went to my final interview and said to myself that if I don't nail this one, that I'm signing onto a minimum wage job agency. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, so the next day I went down and signed onto the job agency. They told me they have a job in a factory that designed and printed boxes, that I could start tomorrow. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was money in my bank. I was there for a few months and a job came up in their graphics department. I went for it and got it. I've been there for nearly 3 years now, and I've already had a promotion. I've had all in-house training, and I honestly couldn't be happier. I truly believe someone was looking out for me to give me this opportunity. Yeah, the person looking out for you is you. This. OP didn't sit at home moping around that he couldn't get a job. Took some initiative and accepted a job offer, even if it wasn't exactly what he wanted, and now has worked his way up. People are so determined to get the perfect job straight out of school or university that they don't realize you actually have to work your way up the ladder. Take what you can, just to get your foot in the door. If you don't like it, keep looking, but at least you'll be making some money in the process. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have something to share, please feel free to do so in the comments below. We'd love to read your lucky stories. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when our next video is ready. For more videos like this one, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.